What's up, y'all? Respect the Chat podcast, episode 108.
Woo.
Your boy Mike is here. Rich is here. Ryan's here. What's up, y'all?
What's going on?
Yo, we in the building.
Right, Rich was just saying before we got started. Now we're on YouTube, and now the fans can see him fall asleep. When me and Frankie used to record with him, the old, in the garage, he would like just fall out on us, man. Like just stop talking after a while because we used to record so late.
Mm-hmm. Well, the good thing, the way we set it up here, the way I got a little set up, is that you guys will go back and forth your screens depending who's talking and whoever talked last. My screen, the only way I could get it to be set up right is my camera's got to stay the whole way, so I can't be caught lacking at any time. But if whoever spoke last for you guys, the other one is safe for the next couple seconds. Then the other one comes in. Yeah, see, camera just switched to Rich. Whoever was watching on YouTube, now you see back and forth these guys. So
as long as I don't snore, I'm good.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
First of all, this guy is in the pitch black over there. He's like he's in a cave, man.
They can't see my eyes now.
Oh my gosh, man! Oh my gosh! Great weekend coming up here. Great sports weekend too. Oh, yeah. We got the UFC fights. We got Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker. I think it's UFC 257.
I believe so.
So.
Hopefully we'll go with that. Hooker Chandler, the co-main event, the main event. Conor McGregor, the champ. Champ is back.
Woo.
He opened up 2020 with a fight, the knockout of Donald Cerrone. I think it was 90 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy. And now he's going to open up the first pay-per-view of 2021. So that fight's coming up. We have big football games to discuss, and then I want to talk a little basketball and see what y'all think about a couple questions I got. But let's start with the fights, man. UFC 257, humongous card. Chandler Hooker, Poirier, McGregor. Let's talk Chandler Hooker first in the co-main event. Michael Chandler's first fight in the UFC, coming over from Bellator. He was a 155 champ, I think, multiple times in Bellator. Crazy fights with Eddie Alvarez and Benson Henderson and Patricio Pitbull, amongst other guys as well. But those are the big fights he had over there. But he's making a transition a little bit later in his career, but not too late. He's in a great spot in his career. I would say close to his prime, if not a little bit out of it, coming into the UFC, first fight in the UFC, Dan the Hangman Hooker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Right, who you got in this one?
So that's a tough one. I really am interested to see Michael Chandler fight in the UFC. I really want to see how his skills translate. I'm sure, he's going to fit right in amongst the top dogs, but I really like Dan Hooker as a fighter. I really liked his fight against Poirier. Poirier beat him up a little bit, but I think that he needed something like that. He was on a little bit too much of a hot streak, and I don't think he was ready for the top competition the way that, Dustin Poirier was. So I'm glad that Poirier, humbled him a little bit in that sense, because I do like Dan Hooker. But this will be an interesting fight. I'm going to just have to go Dan Hooker based off of, bias, but I am interested to see Michael Chandler in the UFC facing guys of, this caliber. Not to say that he didn't fight any talent there, because there's some real fighters over in Bellator as well, but I'm excited to see his debut.
Wow, okay, Ryan goes Dan Hooker. That I like that. Hooker beats Felder, beat Iaquinta, beat James Vick, and then he lost to Edson Barbosa. Most recent fight was Dustin Poirier. It was a war. Crazy fight. Poirier came out of the winner of that one. So what do you think, Rich? You going Hooker too? Are you impressed enough with Hooker's resume to say, yeah, Chandler, you're stepping up into the UFC now, man. I'm putting you out.
My heart wants to go Chandler. I'm a huge Michael Chandler fan. He's the only reason I would ever turn on Bellator. It was when he was fighting. I believe he only had was he 16-4, I think, in Bellator. So having 4 losses in Bellator, coming over to UFC, I think UFC is a whole nother game. These guys are the top athletes in this type of sport. My heart's on Chandler, but I think Hooker is gonna get the win. I just think his reach is too big. I think Chandler's only way of winning would be getting in close, taking him down, because his ground and pound game is probably, I mean, besides Khabib, I mean, Chandler, and once he gets you on the ground, man, he beats you up. So I think that's going to be his game plan, is try to take down Hooker, ground and pound. But if Hooker, establishes that jab and keeps that distance where Chandler can't shoot and take him down, I think Dan Hooker gets the win. And I just think he, like Ryan said, coming off the loss against Poirier, he's motivated to get a big win again. And, a guy coming in from another a league division or whatever
organization,
yeah. I'm sure he's hyped on that. He doesn't want to take that first L get an L from a guy coming from another organization. So Hart's Chandler, but I think Hooker gets it done.
Okay, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you at all, man. But you're both wrong. And Michael Chandler is going to win this fight, man. My man's going to come into the UFC the way Justin Gaethje did, and he's going to have a spectacular fight. Gaethje went against Michael Johnson. It was a crazy, crazy fight, and then Gaethje ended him late in that fight. I think Chandler ends Hooker, and the reason why is I think Michael Chandler hits really, really hard, and Dan Hooker took a lot of shots from Dustin Poirier. Dan Hooker is a slow starter. Michael Chandler is a fast out the gate, swing for the fences type guy. And I think he does get in enough, but I don't think he goes for the shoot and the takedown. I think he hammers Dan Hooker's body up, and then he goes upstairs, man. Michael Chandler has some big knockouts in Bellator. His record was 21-5, Rich.
Okay.
So he does have his losses, but everyone does in UFC. In MMA. But I just like Michael Chandler's chances of getting inside, working the body, going up top, knocking him out, starting his UFC run off with a knockout of Dan Hooker. And here's the other reason why. I want to ask you guys about this before we get to Conor and Poirier. Khabib comes out this week, and he has a sit down with Dana White, and they come with this, breaking news. Dana White, man, we love you at the RDC, but like, if you're going to show some breaking news, man, give me some breaking news. Don't give me maybe this guy fights again. And I understand that. I'm just busting your chops, Dana White, because I wanted to hear he was coming back. So Khabib says, I'm only going to come back, though, if I'm impressed with what happens in the co-main or the main event. He was also impressed by Charles Oliveira as well, as what he said. But do you think one of these guys need to knock the other guy out in order to get that fight with Khabib, Roy?
I don't think there's anything that they in the co-main event could do to get Khabib's attention personally. Maybe I would say the only thing would be maybe if Michael Chandler puts on a spectacular performance, knocks him out quickly, or has like a really good display on the ground or something, because that's another, that's just a storyline that causes, when it comes to Khabib fights, he's going to make his money regardless, but it's just another storyline to get people to, buy into the fight and what they're trying to do there. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, for him to come back and fight one of those guys, maybe just to get the 30, or what is it, 30, right?
Yes.
That he's going for. Besides that, but I really don't see why he would come back and try to get his 30th. It's supposed to be a big deal for him. Just off, not to say off of a random fighter, because these guys aren't random fighters, but to most of the world who aren't MMA fans, these never heard of these guys before in their lives. Like, I can go to my roommates who, watch UFC with me when we're watching, big fights and stuff, and they'll know a few guys here and there, but the card came up on the TV, and I was like, oh, I'm real hyped for that co-main event, and none of them knew who either of them were. So for Khabib to step out and try to get this big 30th win over someone like that, I mean, for MMA fans, sure, but if it's supposed to be like this big spectacular thing for the UFC, I don't see it being one of those guys. That being said, for the main event, if one of those guys shocks him, I think that could be a different story. I'm not sure that might be a little too much to get into right now, about a McGregor Khabib, rematch, or even a Poirier Khabib rematch. But yeah, that's just my opinion on both those, on the Dana comment.
What do you think, Rich? You think one of those guys can impress enough, Chandler or Hooker, to get the attention of Khabib, or they got to go through somebody first to even think about that, even after this?
I think Ryan was pretty spot on that. I think, the only way that maybe Chandler could get Khabib's attention is if he has a dominant ground and pound performance, and people start saying, could Chandler be the one to, to go against Khabib, toe to toe with this ground and pound game and kind of get Khabib's attention and, maybe get under his skin a little bit about it. There's a lot of buzz about Chandler's ground and pound game, and so that's the only way I think any of those two fighters could get any type of look from Khabib. Like Ryan said, once we get into this main event, I mean, that's a whole different story. I'll let us talk about who we think's gonna win, and then I'll get back to my whole theory on that.
Okay, and I got a little theory of myself about how Michael Chandler could possibly get this fight. And with that being said, we'll come back to that in a second after we pick this. McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 2. McGregor knocked him out in the first round. He knocked him out cold, man. Is Dustin Poirier Conor McGregor 2? Man, I'm so happy this guy is back, Conor McGregor, and I love Dustin Poirier. But is the second fight, Rich, is there a difference in this fight, or does this fight go the same way?
There's a huge difference in this fight, I believe. I think Dustin's, he's on a whole nother level now. I personally think he's probably one of the top boxers in the UFC. With Conor, I mean, his last fight, you mentioned he knocked out Cerrone in 90 seconds. It's kind of Conor's thing. If he doesn't knock you out in the first round or early second, I mean, he usually puts himself in danger. I mean, I know he went the distance with Nate in the second fight, but I think if Conor can't knock Dustin out in the first round or maybe early second, I think Dustin's going to have a field day, and I think Dustin gets the win.
Okay, not bad. McGregor, Dustin Poirier 2. Rich is going with Poirier. Ryan, what are you going with? What's going on here? Am I going to be the lone wolf again in these fights, or what are you coming with? Does McGregor do the same thing, or does it look different?
Well, I'll agree with Rich in one way that I think Poirier is a different fighter than he was then. He's looked a lot better, a lot more mature in his recent fights. He's been playing his game, his fight style, and I like what he's been doing, but I'm going to still have to go with McGregor. I know it's just a lot of buzz about, he's looked the best he's looked. Yeah, I feel like they say that every time he fights. So I'm not really buying into that too much. But when McGregor comes back, he likes to pull all these charades. But when he takes a long hiatus, he doesn't come back until he thinks he's ready or in a position to win. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it. And I think that this was the perfect position for him to come back and really assert his dominance against a guy who we're talking about is really evolving as a fighter, really becoming one of the top contenders, if not, already obviously is the top contender. But I think this is the perfect position for him to come out and then reinforce who he is in the fact that he's McGregor and he's going to put on a show. So I agree that usually his thing is you got to knock someone out early. But I still like McGregor's chances in this one. So I got McGregor.
Okay, what you got, Rich? You're itching over there. Before I give my answer, do you want to say something?
Ryan just said something, Conor came back last year, got a win. We were all hyped. We thought he was going to fight a couple more times last year. Obviously, with the situation that happened with the pandemic, might have had some effect with that. But, if Conor comes out and has a dominant win, who knows what this guy's going to do? Is he going to fight again? Is he going to fight soon? Mm-hmm. So going to my whole theory with Khabib's attention with Conor, I think for Khabib-Conor rematch, Conor's going to have to fight at least two fights this year to get his attention and show that he's back and he's 100% back in the UFC. And I also think this performance against Dustin, he has to show. Conor's whole issue is his cardio. This guy gasses out. So I think if he has a dominant performance, doesn't gas out, shows energy throughout the whole fight, that might catch Khabib's attention. But I think it's going to take more than just one fight for Conor, and he has to be consistent.
Okay, I like it. So me being one, Conor McGregor fan, huge Conor McGregor fan, and two, being a huge fan of the UFC, all week I've been doing research so that I can give both of you the best answer possible, and the fans the best answer possible. So exactly like both of you were saying, leading up to this fight, Conor McGregor's whole storyline and the build around it is that he's in the best shape that he's ever been in, right? And we like Ryan said, you can always say that about his next fight too. But I do believe that in this fight, and I do believe it because at 155, this is his second fight ever. He's only fought one time, I think, at 155, beat Eddie Alvarez, became the double champ, and then went on to fight Mayweather, and then when he came back, he fought at 170. So I think this is the first time he's committed to a 155 cut, and you've seen him at the weigh-in. He looked phenomenal at the weigh-in. He's got a ton of energy. His head is positive. Every interview he did, I must have watched every single one he did with every single person in Abu Dhabi. His energy, his mentality, his zeal is on point. It's way different than I've ever seen him before. He sounds more mature, looks more mature. He's thinking clearly. And he said after he beat Cerrone, I hope I hit all these points. After he beats Cerrone, he meets up with Lorenzo Fertitta, former UFC owner, and Dana White. But Conor considers Lorenzo a very close friend to him and a mentor to him, as well as Dana White as well. They meet after the Cerrone fight, and they're going back and forth at dinner about what fights make sense. Where do we go from here? And he said they couldn't come up with anything. Nothing was exciting him. Nothing was. What's this guy doing? Talking during the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He said nothing interests him. Nothing was really available to him. So he said he wanted to fight. He was ready to fight the whole 2020. He said, I had no problem with it, but nothing was coming through. And then the pandemic and all this happens. So I think it had a couple different factors in there. But I do believe tomorrow we're going to see one of the best, most committed fighters in his career, and he is ready to go, and he is ready to knock this guy out. I think it's in 2. I think the first round they feel out when he hits him with some nice shots, but I think by round 2 or late round 1, but I would go round 2, Conor McGregor puts him out with a left hand, and it's a devastating left hand, or possibly a kick to the head like he did to Cerrone. Now, say this happens. This is my opinion. Conor beats Poirier. Then Conor fights Michael Chandler, because Chandler wins. I think then he gets the fight, and then it makes Khabib come out of retirement. He gets to fight Khabib. But he also said this. He said, if Khabib does not come back, I got no problem with that. He's running on me, and he's not gonna give another chance. So it is what it is. I'll run through this whole division. He is ready to make a run at 155. He said, I am fully committed to the UFC, and I am ready to go. He said that retirement was because I was angry and upset, and I wanted to force Dana White in the UFC's hand, and they didn't. I couldn't do it. So he's ready to fight at 155 and go on a run. I'm telling you right now, it's happening. This is going down. This man is going off, and he's either going to bring Khabib back, or he's going to be the next greatest fighter in the UFC.
I feel like I'm having deja vu.
Why?
I feel like you said this last January too.
Well, Rich, I was kind of right, because it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was ready to fight multiple fights in 2020, and the UFC had nothing to offer him. And then the pandemic hit, and then he said he was ready to fight whoever. It just didn't make sense who was left at that point in each division. He said he really wishes he took the 170 bout to try to get a belt, but that wasn't offered to him, and he wasn't ready to fully commit to any really weight division. That was the thing. So he just wanted fights. But I'm telling you, man, this guy, if you throw on any interview right now, you will see the difference. It's blatant and it's genuine.
I just had a quick question. I don't know if I just want to know what you meant by his first time fighting back at 155.
So he was a featherweight his whole career at 145. He wins the belt, beats Aldo, and then he goes to 155 to become the double champ. Right. Fights Eddie Alvarez, beats Eddie Alvarez, becomes the double champ, and then he fights Floyd Mayweather. And then he fights.
But didn't he fight Khabib at 155?
Yes. Okay, so it's two fights. Two fights at 155. You're right. He fight the two Nate fights were at 170.
Right.
Yeah. And then he went to and then it was a very short stint at 155. Beat Alvarez, which I think was the first round, and then fights Khabib. So he's got a total of 5 rounds at 155.
Right. That's my only question, was what he fought Khabib at originally, which I thought was 155, and it was. So that's why
100%.
But I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I've listened to the words that he's been speaking. His interviews has definitely seemed a lot more genuine. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels like this one, he's always gonna be McGregor, right? You're not gonna get someone who isn't him. But if, like, even his face off with Poirier, if you watch that, like, was different. Yep. There was a lot of laughs being shared, a lot of hugs being shared, a lot of high fives, which is different than a lot of McGregor fights we've seen in the past, where he's in the other guy's face, taunting him, but then afterwards he's more, like even with Cowboy, he had respect for Cowboy, but he was like, yeah, I was gonna come in here, I knew I was gonna finish him quickly. He wasn't ready for what I had to bring. So it's like, but this one feels a little bit different. I don't know if the respect level is up, or if, like you said, his mindset is a little bit different. He's about having a future in the division for the upcoming future. So I think we'll just have to see. I like to think that he's gonna start running through the division, and we're gonna get a lot more McGregor pay-per-views coming up from a fan's perspective. So I would love to see that.
Definitely. I think there is a lot more respect this time around. They both showed each other respect. He respects the journey that Poirier went on after that loss. Poirier had a great career after that. He really went on a great run. Was an interim champ at 155 as well. Dustin Poirier and him really respect each other. But he said, to make no mistake about it, I respect my opponent. I think that's big too, with his getting his boxing coach back that he's had for a really long time, really connecting and with the people who are around him that care about him. I think he's matured as a man, as a fighter, and he really has respect for the game. And he said, I got all the money in the world. This isn't about fighting. This isn't about money. This is about fighting. I want highlights. Highlights is what goes on, is what my kids will see. And his family's a part of this. And I just think he's very dangerous to everyone and anyone. And he will make believers out of the non-believers. So respect it, Rich. And I'm telling you, broski.
Listen, man. I hope you're 100% right. I love Conor.
I know.
Just the last few years been rough. He comes in, he fights one fight, and he's gone, and he retires. I just want him back. I want to see him consistently. I want to see him fight at least 3 times this year.
Definitely. And I think we will. I really do. I think Dana's going to just put him in and get him in there, let him fight. If the Khabib one comes up, it comes up. Great, awesome. But I also think this. If Michael Chandler knocks out Dan Hooker, this is the Michael Chandler way in. He knocks out Dan Hooker, and Khabib says, I want to kind of like I want to throw some shade at Conor McGregor. I'll fight. You know what? I'll come back. I'll fight Michael Chandler. Just to give it to Conor a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's, I think, the way that Chandler gets Khabib. But I agree with you guys 100%. The only fight that makes sense is Conor versus Khabib.
He's got to get past Dan Hooker first before he gets to
Khabib. Correct. Right. That's the only way Chandler gets it. He's got to knock out Hooker and then hope that Khabib is feeling, froggy.
Right.
To me, I think, after this fight, I think whoever wins the Chandler Hooker fight, obviously if Khabib doesn't come back to fight one of them, but you still got Justin Gaethje out there, man. You can make 2 great matchups with the winners of these fights.
I agree 100%, Rich.
We're definitely not Go ahead.
If Michael Chandler wins, even if he goes and fights Justin Gaethje next, great fight. Conor versus Khabib, great fight. Conor versus Gaethje, great fight. Chandler versus Khabib, great fight. I mean, I there's no wrong way after these fights.
I think
100%.
I think you touched on a really important point. It's like, this is the deepest division in the UFC. It's like there's tons of matchups you can make for who deserves the top spot, and then with Khabib coming back, who he's gonna fight, you can have it could be till 2023 making fights to see who Khabib will come back and fight. So it's like we're definitely from a fan's perspective, we're not short of good cards. There's definitely going to be tons of good fights to make for Dana. It's just what is going to make sense in the long run in terms of the rankings and obviously money for selling pay-per-views and stuff. But yeah, you're definitely right, Rich. We're not short for fights. That's for sure.
Oh, I agree. And that's the other thing Conor said. He said this division is stacked. Like, this is going to be a great run to go on. Could you imagine if Conor McGregor cleans out the featherweight division in his time in the featherweight, and then he goes to 155 and he cleans the 155 out?
Ooh.
But I agree. There's so many good fights,
easy,
Rich.
Mike.
There's so many good fights, though. There really is. But think about it, right? Think about it. This it kind of sets up to be in Conor's favor. Khabib is retired. Wrestler. Conor gave Khabib, I think, the best fight that Khabib has ever got. And a lot of experts are saying it now, too. The more they watch it and the more they see the scramble ability of Conor and going the 4 rounds with Khabib is something that Conor has done that not a lot of people have done. Iaquinta went 5, but he got beat up the whole entire fight. Didn't even win. So, but I think with Poirier and Gaethje and Chandler and Hooker and Oliveira, like with this division, those are all strikers. Those guys get touched by the left hand of Mystic Mac, and it's game over. He doesn't hit like on other 155ers. That's why I'm saying this matches up to be a nice run for him. A lot of strikers, a lot of guys who want to stand toe-to-toe. This could be Tony Ferguson. He's still in this division too. Those guys want to stand and bang. You know, Michael Chandler versus Conor may be a different story, but Chandler's going to want to stand and bang
also,
too, man.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all I was going to say. Right, go ahead.
I was going to say, I also think in terms of something you mentioned earlier, I think Charles Oliveira looks dangerous on the ground right now. We saw him doing things to Tony Ferguson that never saw it done before on the ground in terms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and scrambling and getting into different positions. So I think that's another guy who, if you're talking, a different story, he's got that ground game that it might be a little too early to talk about because it was one good fight from him. But he's been doing, I don't know. He impressed me with his last fight against Tony Ferguson. I think that if there's going to be someone who mixes it up, who he can't just hit with the left hook and it's over, that's one of those guys you got to mention.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And watch this. I'm going to lift up and I'm going to move myself. You two's going to see me move because I live with an amazing and awesome woman. It's Ryan's sister I'm married to. But she doesn't quite realize that I'm recording a podcast and she's banging pans and whatnot. YouTube, give me a second. YouTube and the audio listeners heard the whole dish rack being washed.
I heard it.
Oh, okay. You guys heard it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, man. Okay, so I got to move. I got my son's thing coming. How is it possible that out of all the little boys in the whole world, we got the best one? Let's go.
Woo.
The champ is on his way here, okay? I just want everyone to know that out there. The champ is on his way here, man, and he's got a really good mentor in his cousin Shay, man. She's got a mean one that she keeps telling me whenever Sonny gets here that her and Sonny are gonna duke it out. So this is great, man.
Don't forget about BC.
Oh yeah. Lulu has got the ground game. Lucy is more of a ground game, I would say, to her. Right? Would you say that? Lucy's Lucy's a ground game grappler. Shay is a stand, and she wants to strike.
Right.
Though she got a mean guillotine.
And for those out there, who are listening and aren't familiar, they're talking about their kids fighting each other, right?
Yes,
5 years and 5 and younger division.
Yes.
Correct.
Here we go, man. All right, now I got the light. I got a different room. I got my boy's chair.
There we go.
Rocking them in. This is the new podcast room. So great fights to come. Please tune in, everybody. These are going to be very, very interesting fights, and there's going to be a lot of things that we think are going to come off of this. More fights, more pay-per-views, a great run, hopefully, by Conor McGregor, man. I can't wait for that. I absolutely stoked for this card tomorrow night.
Agree.
before we jump into football, I had a question to ask. I heard this earlier today in this YouTube video I was watching. It's just a random question. If you could be a master at any instrument, what instrument would it be? If you could be a master at any instrument, like it'd be so dope. You at the party and, after 2020 and we all get back, but when you're back to a party again, you could just grab this instrument and there's a crowd there and you just start rocking.
Oh, I got it. I got an easy answer.
What would it be, Rye?
Piano.
Oh, that's mine. I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
You could just do so much with that. So much. You could transform that into, music production. You could go electronic. You could go classic. And you just know, so many. So I took a piano class in college as an elective. And I already know how to read music, both like treble and bass clef. Not great, but I grew up I played the tuba when I was younger. For those of you, little fun fact. The instrument was bigger than me. I didn't grow till I was in my senior year of high school. But anyway, yeah. So you just have to know everything. You know all the notes, all the clefs. So that would be my one I just rock out on.
Oh, me too, man. I always picture being in the lobby somewhere, and just the piano's there and just hit a quick tune and people like, what? What's going on here? Yeah, piano is classic, man. Piano is awesome. What do you think, Rich?
I'm a drum.
Drums is a great one, man.
That's a good one.
That's top 3.
Yeah.
It's piano for me. The guitar.
There you go. I was gonna say guitar's got to be in there.
Guitar is just so cool. You know what I'm saying? Grabbing a guitar, hitting a couple tunes at a fire or something like that, bonfire, or just kicking it with the homies or something like that at a party, whatever.
Jamming out on the drums though is just sick. Who's that one guy?
Rich.
Travis
Barker.
You ever sit down and watch the YouTube video of him going nuts on the drums?
Oh yeah, man. Listen, drums are
going.
One of the coolest instruments ever. I agree with you, Rich. So cool. And just the music this music you make from drums, unbelievable. So I just wanted to throw that out there, see what you thought. But my instant thought was piano right off the bat.
For sure. Same for me. That's what I thought right away.
Oh, has to be. All right. So this is what I want to do. We should might as well, Ryan will cut it here because it's only 3 minutes left. Then we'll discuss football.
All right.
So we discussed the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirier fight, man. That one's going to be a banger. But I also wanted to ask you guys about another fight that was really something that I can't believe I actually seen. I think it's the best fight I've ever seen. Best performance, I've ever seen in the UFC by a fighter, and that's Max Holloway beating Calvin Kattar on the card last Saturday. Wow, did you guys see this fight, Rich? Did you see this? Oh, yeah.
I was with you.
Right. I was so much in the zone, dude, of that fight, and we were cheering. I know we had Chris Brown. Shout out to Chris Brown on FaceTime while the fight was going on. Rich, how crazy was that?
That fight was insane. Your dad was even watching with us, and he was like, oh. I mean, Max was just throwing combos after combos, and that performance was unreal. I listened to Joe Rogan a lot, so I was listening to one of his podcasts on the way to work this week, and Max Holloway has the top 3 significant strikes thrown in a fight.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 800 or 700 in this fight. And then he threw 400. He broke his record, which was 400. And then the third best is by him. So he has the top 3.
Yeah, I was. If you were watching, they mentioned that he is the all-time strike leader by over 300 strikes, and then he just increased his lead by another 600, 700 strikes right there.
Unreal.
And I had it on. We were watching. So my roommate, the champ, shout out Serb, he's a big Packers fan growing up, him and his dad. So the Packers game was on while this fight was on. And we had the Packers on, and I was like, all right, when it gets to the Holloway Kattar fight, we got to switch over. So he was like, all right, no biggie. So we switched over, and me and Steve were, on the edge of our seat. And he went upstairs to watch the rest of the Packer game, and he started hearing us going crazy for the fights, he had to run downstairs, throw a Packer game on his phone. It was that crazy. But yeah, I mean, this was insane. I got to agree, the best individual performance I have seen in a UFC fight, for sure.
Definitely.
Unbelievable, man. And then when he throws the no-look punch.
Oh, yeah.
He's talking to
and
the
he's
crowd.
ducking. Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
Unreal.
The head movement, the no-look punch, the precision, the power. He said he didn't spar for this. He and he didn't spar for the last one against Volkanovski either. I think that's good for a guy like Max. I've heard that some of these guys do this, or they have a really, really light spar where there's not much hitting. It's just a lot of playing, like a play fight and just to work on the rhythm and things like that. But, man, whatever he did, man, he looked phenomenal. He is definitely one of the best boxers in the UFC. Calvin Kattar leading into it was saying that Kattar was calling himself a senior compared to Max Holloway's freshman boxing. And he was yelling that back at him. I guess the freshman has came to play. And Max Holloway, the Blessed Express, man, holy cow. Bro, I can't believe the fight was unbelievable.
It was nuts.
The strikes that he was hitting him with and the combinations and the boom, boom, and in and out. And just how he looked. I've never
His
seen
footwork.
a fighter. Everything, Rich. It was in the zone, man, in the zone. Like I've never seen somebody in the zone before. Absolutely, absolutely unbelievable. But great fight. Excited to see where Max Holloway goes from here. And listen, maybe he comes to 155, starts fighting guys there, man. I don't know. But I think he's going to challenge again, obviously, at 155, either Volkanovski or Brian Ortega, the winner of that. And, oh, man, I don't care who it is. I want Maxie Baby to have the belt back. The conference champion. Yeah, Rich, you have something to say before we move on?
No, I was just going to ask if you guys saw the video where Conor was getting interviewed. And he's like, yo, that looked like Max Holloway on a skateboard.
Yeah,
and
it was, yeah.
Yes.
That was funny.
Yes, I seen that. Awesome. Max is the man, bro. But shout out to Max, man. Just got engaged too. God bless that guy, man. Championship weekend, man. Conference championship weekend. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Green Bay Packers at 3:05, and then the AFC Championship, Buffalo Bills Mafia going against Kansas City Chiefs, man. Oh, boy. Here we go. Let's pick who you want to win. I'll start with Rich. Tampa Bay, Green Bay. Tell me who wins, Rich, and tell me why.
I'm going to go Tampa Bay. I think that defense is playing really well right now. As long as Tom Brady could he's always clutching the playoffs. So as long as he has a good performance and doesn't, he had a couple games this season where he threw some bad interceptions, but I think Fournette's on another level right now. He's been running the ball well and catching the ball out of the backfield. So just the weapons Brady has, I think he'll be able to keep up with that Packers offense. Trying to stop Devontae Adams is impossible, but I think with Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronk, Fournette, I mean, he has enough weapons to try to keep up with Green Bay, and I think the Buccaneers defense is hot right now, and they'll get enough stops. It's gonna be a close game. If I had a 27-24, it's gonna be a high scoring. I think they win by a field goal at the end, but I want the Bucs to win.
Okay, I like it. So it's funny you mentioned that about Tom Brady and Frankie, which I will drag him out. Almost had him in red of retirement, giving my man Tom Brady hate all year. According to PFF, I don't know what this is, but they use it, Power Football Focus, maybe. I think that's what it is.
Professional Football Focus.
Okay. Tom Brady, 93.3 grade this season, second highest among quarterbacks. Tom Brady, okay? So stop giving this guy hate. Stop telling me this guy is, washed up. He can't throw the ball, can't do anything. Stop. He's second. First was Aaron Rodgers with 94.6. So this is the battle of the quarterbacks, the legends, the GOAT in Tom Brady, maybe a future GOAT in Aaron Rodgers, right? What do you think? Packers, Bucks, who wins and why?
I think what Rich said pretty much nailed it. I think both these offenses are really good, have a lot of weapons. I give the edge to Green Bay on the offensive end, just for the fact that what you just mentioned, Aaron Rodgers has just had an unreal year. And you're right. You can't stop Devontae Adams, but that run game is also underrated. Aaron Jones has been running super well. They go 3 deep at the running back position. Jamal Williams runs super tough between the tackles, and it was AJ Dillon.
Yep.
Their rookie has been running super well as of late. So I think I got to give the edge to Green Bay on the offensive end, but on the defensive side of the ball, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is probably, I'd say, 3 times better than the Green Bay defense as of right now. They were having trouble stopping a injured Jared Goff moving up and down the field. Rams didn't have enough firepower to keep up with Green Bay scoring in the end of it, but he was moving the ball on them for a little bit, and I think that Tom Brady and the weapons that they have is just going to overwhelm Green Bay's defense, and I think that the offense is going to be able to keep it close. The defense is going to be able to keep it close enough for the offense to keep striking and keep applying pressure, and I got Tampa Bay in that one as well.
Oh wow, I like this, man. Okay, we're all on the same page here. I believe Tampa Bay wins as well, and I'll get to that in a second. 2 things, Rich. Last week when I listened back to the episode, you were 100% right in the sense that having Devin White back and being able to cover what's his name, Kamara. Alvin Kamara. Wow, man. That was a huge part of that game. You called it perfect on the podcast last week that was going to be a really good matchup and a big determination of how that game was going to go. So I think Tampa's defense, like Ryan is saying and you're saying, man, they are on fire and they are playing great. Devin White had like 11 tackles in the game, recovered a forced fumble, has a pick. Man, the guy was unbelievable. It was a huge difference. And just him with David, the other linebacker, with Winfield, that rookie safety.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to make it really hard for Aaron Rodgers like they did the first game. They blitzed him a lot, and it really paid off. Since that game, Aaron Rodgers has been unbelievable against the blitz. I wasn't able to get that stat today, but I heard it on NFL Network. Since the Buccaneers game during the season when the Buccaneers blitzed them and really hurt him, Aaron Rodgers really recovered and did well. Aaron Rodgers has 22 touchdown passes and 0 picks off of a play action.
Sorry,
So
man.
that's okay. That's pretty crazy, man. 22 touchdowns, 0 picks off a play action. So maybe they play a little play action there. But I do think Tom Brady holds that offense together. They score points. They play solid. They don't turn the ball over. And I think how good Tampa's defense is, I think they really are able to pull this game off and beat Aaron Rodgers, make him do 1 or 2 things, make him have 1 or 2 turnovers, or someone on offense fumble 1 or 2 times where they get that momentum going the other way, the way that Tampa Bay did last week as well. Now, I want to ask you guys this: the game being in Lambeau and it being extremely cold, do you think that's any type of narrative to this game with Tampa obviously playing in Florida coming over? Do you think that plays any factor, or has Tampa Bay and Tom Brady played enough cold weather games where they could overcome that, Rich? What do you think?
I was just about to say. Tom Brady played in New England his whole career. Most of the time, New England had home field advantage. So come playoff time, he's used to playing in the cold. I think that's a huge factor in these games is a quarterback's play in the cold. And I think he'll be able to adapt to it. I think he'll be able to play in Lambeau and play just fine.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different in that because you're right. Tom Brady definitely has the experience playing in the cold. I'm not really worried about his play when it comes to the temperature changes. He's a seasoned vet. These other guys, on the other hand, I am a little bit more worried. Like there is a little bit of cause of concern, depending how cold it's going to be. Just dropping passes has already been an issue for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the weather could affect that in a little bit. I'm not willing to say it's the game changer where I think just because of the weather they're going to lose this game now. But I am a little bit concerned about that. I think that Tom Brady is fine, but he can't throw and catch the passes. He can't make all the tackles on defense too. So I think there's a little bit cause concern, but I'm still. That being said, I'm still willing to give the edge to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, I like it. All three of us going Tampa. That's a great point you brought up, Ryan. Godwin has dropped a lot of passes here lately. Evans may have one or two drops. They're having struggles with that. And when it's cold weather, we've all played football games before. It's not always the easiest to catch that rock coming out at you. So hopefully they're able to get their hands. I don't know. Dip them in stick them.
Hot wax
put some
or something.
Newman. Go back to the Newman's old school gloves. I don't care what you do. Figure out how to catch those balls, man, because they're coming that way. I want to ask you guys a question before we got to Buffalo and the Chiefs. Phillip Rivers retiring. What do you think about this? Me and Ryan discussed this on the first episode. We thought he still had some left. Frank Reich, his coach, thought he had some left. What do you think about Phil retiring, Rich?
I don't know. I mean, he did play well this year. You know, typical Phillip Rivers season. You know, great games here. Mistakes here and there, but 17 years in the league. You know, he said he was blessed with the 16 seasons with the Chargers, the 1 year with
Indy,
the Colts. Yep. And he wore the number 17. So I just think everything tied in together perfect for him to retire.
Yeah, I think that what we were talking about before, Mike, where we thought he could, had a little bit left from his performance this season. That also doesn't mean he has to. Like he has 1.5 million kids. Right. He has a ton of other priorities in life, and who knows how he was feeling, just because he was performing decently, pretty well, doesn't mean that, he enjoyed it, enjoyed waking up and doing all these things, knowing he's got family. Like, we don't know all these other things behind, and I'm sure that, like Rich said, he's satisfied with his career thus far. He had some good seasons, some ups and downs, but he gave 17 really good years to the NFL, so I think that he felt that it was time, and who can blame him for that?
Yep. No, I agree totally. And with the Saints losing and Drew Brees ending the season earlier than the Super Bowl game, what do you think that does for Drew Brees? Another year really not in the Super Bowl, another year where he came up short, the Saints came up short. He didn't have to play a lot of games this year, hurt for a big portion. His wife tweeted out he had like a knee injury, multiple rib injuries, a bunch of different things added up for him this year. What do you think Drew does? Does Drew come back, Rich, or does Drew retire?
I think we saw the last of Drew Brees. I think he's gonna retire. Great career. I mean, a little bit makes me feel like Michael Thomas played injured, and he said he did that because this could be Drew Brees' last season. So I feel like there was some type of in-house type of thing, like, hey, just might be Drew's last season, and I think it is. I think we've seen the last of him. I mean, what he did for New Orleans was amazing. Bringing him a Super Bowl. Wasn't that the year after
Katrina? Yeah,
Katrina. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
Unbelievable career, man. Absolutely unbelievable. Right, what do you think he does? Think he comes back for one more? He's on a different team, maybe? Or does he retire? What do you think?
I think he retires a New Orleans Saint, and I think he does it this year. I think that the injury that he sustained, I don't think that he would have done it. Let's say you asked him at the beginning of the season. Of course, he's going to say, we'll see how this season goes. But I think in his head, he thought maybe this season goes a little bit better, a little bit different. But after that injury, man, a punctured lung and a bunch of fractured ribs. At that age, you could tell when he came back, he was just a completely different quarterback. He couldn't throw down the field. They had to bring in Jameis Winston to run trick plays just to get a deep ball. They're running Taysom Hill, which they were doing anyway in the beginning of the season. But you could just tell that they were just trying to game plan around the fact that they know Drew Brees probably can't do the things that he normally does, and they lost. They can't win. You can't win playoff games against really good teams when your quarterback can't play to the best of his ability. So I think he knows that, and I think that he's not a selfish guy. I think that coming back knowing that he can't perform to the highest of his ability would be a selfish decision, and I don't think that he's willing to do that. So who knows? Maybe he rehabs in the off season and looks incredible and comes back even better. Who knows? But I think that towards the end of the season, you could really tell that he was like, okay, this might be it for me. These injuries are starting to pile up. So
I agree. I totally agree. And to me, though, I couldn't agree more with everything you guys said, but I don't know. I think if he takes a couple months off and he evaluates what he wants to do, I think he says to himself, I really don't want to go out like that. I could see him saying, I don't want to go out with these injuries, with not having a full season, not giving my full maximum effort, and seeing what the result would be. So I think if he gets healthy enough and he feels good, I think there's a good chance he comes back for one more run and one more run only, just to say that he didn't go out, that he gave it a chance being healthy. I think if he was healthy this whole year and it turned out this way, I think he would step away. Yeah. But I think with the pride he has and the guy that he seems like he is, that he comes back for one more year and he makes one more run at it. So Drew Brees, man, whatever it is, we consider you one of the best, man, at the RDC. And we just, love to see you back. But if not, man, totally respect that. A legend. Patrick Mahomes, man, most likely going to play. Let's not even talk about that. Yeah. He's going to play. And the Buffalo Bills at 6:05. Huge game. My dad's going crazy again. My cousin Rudy's going crazy again. Bills Mafia is going crazy again. This is going to be a real barn burner is what I think is going to happen here. I got the Buffalo Bills. Let me get this in right now. I love the offense. I love my man, Josh Allen.
There you go.
Wasn't going to do it twice, y'all. My man, Josh Allen coming out, throwing the ball down the field to Diggs and Brown and Beasley and really working the offense down the field on Kansas City's defense, man. I think Tyrann Mathieu makes a big difference. He's a very good safety to have back there, but a lot of weapons in Buffalo. Now, unlike the Buccaneer and the Packer game, where both of these teams have really solid run games of multiple guys, the Bills haven't found out how to do that yet. So it's a lot on throwing the ball down the field and throwing the ball in general, as well as the Chiefs, though. The Chiefs, no Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They haven't really committed to Le'Veon Bell for whatever reason, or he hasn't shown enough. And Williams, the other running back there, not really too dominant of a performance where you would say it's going to make a difference. So this is going to be a game where the ball's going in the air. If I was betting, I'd bet the over in both of these games this weekend. I will go to over. So that's a little bet there. But I think it's a throw. I think it's a throw for throw, offense versus offense. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and that gang versus Diggs and Beasley and that gang over there. And two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL going at each other. I just love this one. But I got Buffalo. What do you think, Ryan? Buffalo or KC?
Well, if you asked me last week, I'm going Kansas City, no doubt. But I think they showed, obviously, some weakness in that match against Cleveland. Obviously, Mahomes goes out. Cleveland has an extremely strong run game that Kansas City doesn't really know how to stop. So it's a little bit closer for me this time. I'm still going to stick with Kansas City. I'm not going to quite... I love Bills Mafia. My boy T goes to school in Rochester, and they're all Bills fans up there.
Shout out to T and the Rochester crew man. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. They always sending me Snapchats, going crazy over there. That being said, I still have to rock with the Chiefs. I think that this has been a really good run, and I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen came out slinging the ball. The defense came out hot on putting pressure on the Chiefs, but until they prove me otherwise, I'm going to have to roll with the Chiefs in a scenario like this. But it's going to be a crazy game. It's not easy to pick whatsoever. I like Buffalo. My heart's with Buffalo, but if I'm on the podcast, using my brain, I'm going to have to go with Kansas City for this one.
I like it. What do you think, Rich? Kansas City or Buffalo?
I'm with Ryan, man. I can't go against Patrick Mahomes and Andrew Reid. I agree with you, though. I think it's going to be a shootout. None of these teams have a good running game. We're going to see over 100 passes in this game.
Yeah.
Each QB is going to throw the ball for 50 times, you know. But I just can't go against Mahomes and Andy Reid. I think just overall they got a better team. So got to rock with Kansas City.
I like it. Rich, if you caught it and you listen back when you listen to us, my man hit Andy Reid with his government. Andrew Reid, he hit him.
I did?
You hit him with the government.
I just did it?
Yeah, you hit him with the government.
I must have been sleeping when I said that.
He was sleep talking, y'all.
Dang, did I really?
I
You
almost
hit him with the Andrew.
Yes, Andrew.
No, I
Reid,
didn't even know.
And a couple points here for you cats that watch us on YouTube. There was a point where Rich's screen freezes. I don't know if they're going to see it right. I hope
They
it
will.
is.
They will.
It froze on him. My man was just like,
We thought he was out on
it
cam
looked like he was out on camera, man.
in 4K.
Out on camera. Rich, did you work today?
Yeah.
What
All
time
day
did you
for
get up?
Rich.
3:15.
Woo.
Oh, 3:15 a.m., man. I lost power at 3:15 a.m.
Oh,
No
nice.
power in over here in good old Milford, man. Come
I
on,
saw the
man.
fire
Yeah.
trucks going through the town. I was driving for work.
Come
Around
on,
like 3:30.
y'all. Come on. I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard all the generators going. I don't got one in my old crib that I love though. Go ahead.
I just want to say something real quick. Going back to Tom Brady, basically.
Yeah.
I think this is his 14th year. Or I don't know what it is, but his consecutive championship game. I think
Wow.
14. I heard. So, he switches division, goes to the NFC, makes it to the championship game.
Wait.
If we're
Say that
all
again?
right with the Buccaneers winning, this could be the first team to actually host a Super Bowl.
What was,
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry, I missed the stat.
I'm not positive on it, but I think he went to 13 straight AFC games.
AFC championship games?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's
I
the
don't-
number
And
I
then
heard. I could be off, and now he's going to an NFC, so I think it's 14 straight.
But didn't they miss it last year?
So yeah,
New
maybe
England?
that's not right. So
They
maybe in his
missed it last year in
career,
New England? They didn't make the playoffs last year?
No, they made the playoffs, but they didn't make the AFC championship game. No?
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're right.
Maybe
So
it's just
maybe
playoff.
maybe
unless
it's
I'm
just
wrong.
throughout his career. Maybe
I
that's
could
what
be
the
wrong.
stat was.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember the stat completely. Maybe it's 14 in his career that he's been to, but still, I mean,
Was the AFC championship game last year Kansas City versus New England?
That's what I'm
No.
saying. I don't think it
Kansas
was.
check
City Titans, I thought.
Yeah, because
Versus Tennessee?
Titans beat the Ravens and then the Patriots.
yeah.
Okay.
And, Yeah, and the Chiefs came back on the Texans.
Okay, perfect. So whatever that stat is, whatever Rich's stat is there.
I think it could be 14
Still
total.
pretty impressive.
The point of it is that my man wins a lot of goes to a lot of championship games and most likely wins them. So I'm rooting for Tom Brady. I'm rooting for my man Josh Allen, and I'm going hard on the Bills and the Bucks. Rich is going Bucks and Chiefs, and Ryan is going Bucks and Chiefs as well. So man,
You know what's funny? I got Bucks and Chiefs on the podcast, but me and Serv got a little bet of Green Bay and the Bills making the Super Bowl.
the old
Cold hard
catch
cash.
22.
But
Oh,
but
my gosh.
for those of you who are in sports gamblers out there, you have to know that we're doing this for the odds. That's where the money is. That makes sense for us. He's a Green Bay fan, so I'm not gonna say Bills Bucks on him. I had to get him to split half the bet, but that's
Definitely.
what we're gonna hit you with. But yeah, in terms of just predictions, that's where I'm at. Bucks Chiefs.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's jump into a little NBA before we wrap up the podcast. The Brooklyn Nets get Kyrie Irving finally back, and we see a huge big three out there in Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. Man, unbelievable. Joe Harris and Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan, and there's just a multiple other guys.
Do those guys
out there.
even matter?
They do, Rich. You know what it is, and I hear where you're coming from, and it doesn't matter like who else you throw out. You could throw us three out there with them, and maybe they do the same thing. But listen, I think these guys are a perfect match for them. And I was telling Ryan the other day, anyone in the starting five now that Kyrie is back could run the ball, could take the rebound and go straight down the other end and create with it in order to dish to their teammate and get them a good shot. They're a very dangerous starting five team. And I think once the year goes on, I think they only get better with the different rotations that Steve Nash figures out how to get in. Kyrie and James Harden, Kyrie and Durant, Harden and Irving, Harden and Durant, and the other mix of guys in there. Maybe just so every now and then you see what's out there now. It's Kyrie and another four guys. It's Harden and another four guys. It's Durant and another four. Not named the star players. So they're putting them out there with like the role players individually, and he could do so many different combinations. James Harden, man. So in my opinion, to the start of this trade, I think it looks very, very good for Brooklyn. And I think all of these guys, like Ryan said, are going to get shots up. They're going to beat you, to the point of like, well, you just got to score more than us. If you could score more than us, which is going to be difficult for you to do because your star player is going to have to go off and the second guy is going to have to do something here and there, I don't think you beat these guys, man. I really don't. You beat them with size. I think you beat them with size. I think size can hurt them, but I think overall their skill level will wear you down, size or not.
Didn't they just lose in a double overtime game?
They did to Cleveland. Me and Ryan was talking about this, but Ryan, you could discuss it further. Why you think that game happened like that?
Right. So my thing was for that game is I thought people were going to be too quick to jump on the see it doesn't work. Like they lost to the Cavs, a terrible Cavs team. Well, you look at that game and the Cavaliers, in order to beat them, had to put up 147 points, take it to double overtime, and have your star player, like you were saying, drop 42, 20 straight in the overtimes. Now tonight, right? They had no Durant. Tonight is Friday, so if you're listening to this on a Saturday or any day in the future, it's Friday the 22nd. They lost again to the Cavaliers tonight. Wow. This to me just shows the impact of Durant. So no Durant tonight, right? And you have two guys in Kyrie and Harden who are gonna. That's where I think it takes time to figure out. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. The balance of Kyrie and Harden is where things need to be figured out for that team. Harden and Durant have played together before. Before Kyrie came back, they were winning games, so you could tell that they have that sort of chemistry. Harden had a triple-double, maybe even two, and Kyrie and Durant started out the season. They started out decent, they weren't spectacular, but they're still trying to figure that out with Kyrie. I think that given time, you're going to see truly how dangerous they are. I think what you were saying is absolutely correct. Steve Nash just has to figure out the rotations. Whatever that will be, I don't know. That's why he's getting paid to do it, and that's why those guys on the coaching staff are there. D'Antoni, they got Amari over there. But I think that it's just too quick to panic if you're a Brooklyn hater or a Durant hater. Soak it up while you can, because I think these guys are gonna, once they put it together, and I don't think it's a matter of if but when. I think they will. And I'm a Bulls fan. Look at this right here, y'all on YouTube. So don't be thinking I got any sort of Nets bias, because I am not a Nets fan at all. Matter of fact, I have a good friend, Richard, who is a huge Nets fan, and he's the most annoying to listen to talk about basketball. So this was the worst move. But if I'm using my brain here and analyzing it from a basketball perspective, that's my opinion.
What happened? What was it, Wednesday night when they all three played together? I saw something that Kyrie took like 30 shots. Right.
So both Harden or both Durant and Kyrie had like 38, 37. Harden had low 20s, but near a triple-double if he didn't have one. So it looked like what they were doing in there was Harden was taking more of the, okay, this is your guys' team role, just showing that, and this is just my opinion, showing that he can play with other superstars, right? I think that a lot of the things people were saying was, there's not enough shots for Harden in that scenario. And I think he was saying, I'm okay with that. I'll have my nights. I don't need to be an MVP candidate every year. I want to win a championship. I've been an MVP candidate every year. I've obviously can play the game of basketball at a high level. I think he's through with those individual accomplishments that he's had, and I think that he's okay with, maybe giving up a shot here and there to make Kyrie happy or make KD happy.
Yep.
Go ahead.
What you're saying right now, I think that is what needs to happen for them to have success as a trio.
Yeah.
One of them has to take a step back and kind of be like that role player. And like you said, he doesn't need to get big stats every night anymore. I think he wants to win a championship. So Harden. Yeah. So I think that's huge for him too, because Kyrie has one, KD has one, Harden doesn't.
Right.
So
to me, the guy that should take the step back should be Kyrie, though. I think they're still trying to figure out who plays the point guard role and who should really do it, with more dominance, if that's even needed when them three are out there. But I think it's more between Harden and Kyrie of who's gonna play that role.
Right.
I don't think anyone creates better than either one of those guys. I do think, though, James Harden creates better than Irving does to set up other players. I think Irving creates really well for himself off the dribble, and he could score, which I think Harden can as well. But I think Harden could also create enough where shooters like Joe Harris, shooters like Kevin Durant are going to be able to get wide open shots off. And it's going to be really, really dangerous and really deadly for other teams to have to guard guys spread out across the whole floor and then have guys cut into the hoop at times like Harden and Durant and Joe Harris. Harden throwing lobs to DeAndre Jordan, I think, is going to be a huge thing for this team. And I just think Kyrie, if he can come down and if he could play point guard in the sense of like he gets 15 points, 12 assists, something like that, I think that'll be the recipe for what this team really needs, because Harden scoring and KD scoring is next level type scoring. So I think those two guys really need to score a bunch of points and let Kyrie take that little step back and be a point guard, man. Just, wheel and deal, dish the ball, get yours when needed. But I think he's the guy that's the big key to bringing this all together if he plays the right way. But I agree, Ryan. I think KD he's always been the main piece, even in Golden State, man.
Right.
As good as those guys were that surrounded him there and OKC, KD was the main man. He's the most dangerous weapon out there.
Right. And if I just want to touch one last thing on it, I think that definitely what we're seeing is they need to figure out the balance between Kyrie and Harden, and I think that they will do that. So in terms of the playoffs, if we're thinking ahead, the reason KD sits these games and Kyrie sits these games and stuff like that is to prepare, because it has shown that load management does help coming down to the playoffs, being the fresher team, having the fresher legs in a longer season like this. It has shown that there's been certain advantages to it analytically. So in terms of the Eastern Conference, if I'm the Nets and I'm figuring that out, I really don't care what seed I have, to be honest. I'm coming into the playoffs and I'm thinking, all right, we have anywhere between the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seed, somewhere in there. I don't think they get any lower than that. They're feeling pretty comfortable with whatever matchup they have. They're going to have to beat everybody anyway. So I think that they're focused on, make sure their guys are healthy, figuring out who can work with who. Like, I think tonight was like a good test night for them, figuring out what it's like to have Kyrie and Harden run the squad, figuring out the other nights when it was Durant and Harden, or before they got Harden, Durant and Kyrie. I think these are things they need to figure out before they get to the playoffs, which is a long season. We keep saying that. But once they get there, I'm not too worried if I'm them or if I'm a Nets fan about how it's going to play out. I think in the long run, we keep talking about these 7-game series. Playoffs are a 7-game series. I think that they have too many weapons to figure out in a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
And once they get it clicking, if I'm them, I'm not worried. So.
No, I agree, man. I totally agree. And let me just, bring this point again. See, tonight, so Irving played 31 minutes. Harden played 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Irving was 14 for 24,
Mm-hmm.
and he had 38 points, 5 assists, and 1 rebound, 38 points. And Harden had, in 37 minutes, went 6 for 14,
Mm-hmm.
shot significantly less shots than Kyrie did, and had 19 points and 11 assists. See, I think those roles got to reverse there. I think Irving's got to take the less shots and step up the assists and let Harden get those Harden points. And obviously when Durant gets back, Irving that's obviously gonna take a hit too.
Yeah.
That 38 will drop to like 19. And KD will have the 38. So maybe even harder than and Irving trying to figure out that match in between there to try to do the same, play the same role, and KD supplementing it. But running out of time for the second.
How much time we got left?
We got less than a minute. So can you say it in 10 seconds?
No, we can't.
All right. Well, we'll never save it for another episode. Respect the Chat, episode 108. We're out. Peace.
Peace.